Welcome. And I'm so happy that many of you appear to be watching this on Facebook, although I hope it is a genuine thing and not somehow playing tricks on me. But I'm so glad that you are, and I hope you're enjoying this. And, you know, if you want to indicate that you really are there by liking this, if that's not asking too much, or maybe disliking it, at least I know you were there. So we'll start with a bracha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah.
Amen.
And we're continuing. We're going to continue. I'll keep going on this particular chapter as we move off. So we've just, this previous sentence here is God rejecting Moses's request to enter the land of Canaan. And instead, here we go. This is what God does tell Moses. He says, Ale Rosh HaPisgah, go up to the top of Pisgah, V'sa, and cast Einecha, your eyes, Yama, to the west, that is to the sea, meaning the Mediterranean Sea, which is on the west of the land of Israel, V'tzafona, and to the north, V'teimana, and to the south, U'mizracha, and to the east. Ur'ei beinecha, and you will see with your eyes. Ki lo ta'avor et hayarden hazeh, for you are not going to pass over this Jordan. So at least he got to see it. That is something. So let's see where we are here. We did this particular Rashi. So let's see if there's a Rashi on this. Here we go. Ur'ei be'einecha, and see with your eyes. Bikashta mimeni, God is quoting back to Moses his own words. He says, you requested of me, quote, va'er'e et ha'aretz hatova, that I should see this good land, the good land. That's what you said. You wanted to see it. Ani mar'eh lecha et kula. I'm going to show you the whole thing, all of it. Shene'emar, as it states in Deuteronomy 34, Vayar'ehu Hashem et kol ha'aretz, that the Lord showed him the entire land. Be careful what you say. You may be quoted back to you. Onwards. V'tzav et Yehoshua, and command Joshua, v'chazkehu, strengthen him, v'amtzehu, give him courage, ki hu ya'avor, because he will pass over lifnei ha'am hazeh, before this nation, v'hu yanchil otam, and he will allot to them et ha'aretz, the land, asher tir'er, which you will see. Tzav et Yehoshua, command Joshua. This is lovely here. Can you imagine? Put yourselves in Joshua's place, that you are about to take over where a leader of the caliber of Moses has just left off. Can you imagine how you might feel? Right. So, command Joshua al hatirchot, regarding the difficulties, the challenges, the al hamasaot, and on the burden of this, the al hamerivot, and about the strife. You know, let him know ahead of time to be prepared for leadership and leading the Israelites. V'chazkehu v'amtzehu, and strengthen him, right, and encourage him. Bidvar recha, through your words, shelo yerach libo, that his heart should not be weakened, lomar, to say, keshem shene'enash rabbi alehem, that just as my master was held accountable or punished regarding them, kach sofi, so to my end, li'enesh alehem, I'm going to be punished for their behavior, right? Mavticho ani, I assure him. This is God speaking, by the way, through Moses or to Moses. I can assure him, ki hu ya'avor v'hu yanchil, that he will in fact cross over the Jordan, and he in fact will allot the land, parcel the land out to the Israelites. So, of course, I think all of us realize instinctively the profound nature of the fact that Moses does not get into the land of Canaan itself. And again, it's something to sort of meditate on and to think about, how much we accomplish in our lifetimes, and that we don't necessarily get all our dreams resolved in this lifetime of ours. And beyond that. Hihu ya'avor, for he will pass over. Im ya'avor lifnehem, so if he crosses over before them, yinchalu, they will, I think it means here, yinchalo, I'm going to try read that as, meaning he will allot it to them. Va'im lav lo yinchalo, I believe. Okay, now it could be read both ways. The fact that there's no pointing in this, okay, it could be yinchalu. Do you have it pointed? Golda, is that you?
Yeah, mine's not, mine isn't pointed, but it does say they will inherit.
There we go. There we go.
And if not, they will not inherit.
There we
But
go.
but it means the same thing.
Well, I think there's a different
okay.
suggestion here. Now you'll see, I think the point that's being made. So thank you for pointing that out. And because there's a different sense. One is when I read it, Yinchalo means he himself will not merit to do this. Yinchalu means that the Israelites themselves won't be successful, that they will not in fact inherit it. And this is borne out by what is followed here. This is just, again, I prepared this, I thought it through, and then forgot what I had concluded. Anyway, v'chein atam would say, and this is what you find, kesheshalach min ha'am el ha'ai, that when Joshua sent off from the people to the city called Ai. So if you're not familiar with the book of Joshua, there is a campaign very early on. It might even be right after they successfully take Jericho, where they're feeling pretty confident, and they send off people to Ai. And again, I would be giving you lots of details as to why they fail, but they fail to take the city of Ai. And of course, they're now extremely worried that they're not going to, now where are they, right? Their confidence has been shattered. So that is a wonderful story, narrative in the book of Joshua. The point that Rashi is making here is that Joshua himself did not lead the band and the army to conquer Ai. The point is that he said from the people to Ai, Vahu Yashav, but he remained. He remained. And if you want the reference, it's Joshua chapter 7. So you can see it's pretty early on in the book of Joshua. Vayakum mihem anshe ha'ai. And the men of Ai smote some of them, beat some of them. So killed some of them, essentially, etc. Vekevan shenafal al panav, and because Joshua fell on his face, amar lo kum lecha, I think it is, unless it's
mine says
kum lech. Go ahead.
Kumlach.
Kum lech. Thank you again. The points, right?
Kumlach.
Kum lach.
Yeah, that's what mine says.
Okay, so lach would be the pausal form of lacha, but so it says, he said to him, arise yourself, something like that. You arise, right? So he says the fact that if you look at the text itself, it doesn't have the vav in kum, which means to arise, okay? So Rashi says, kam lecha ketiv. So kam or kam lach, if you want to use the pausal form, okay, you are standing, right? Instead of arise, it means you're standing. Ketiv, it's written as if it's this way. Atahu haomed. So it says, in other words, God is saying to him, you're the one who's standing in a position of leadership, okay? Atahu haomed bimkomcha. You are the one who are standing in your place. Umeshaleach et b'nai lamilchama. So in other words, God is remonstrating with him and says, you're standing in your place and you're sending my children into war. Okay. Lama ze ata nofel al panecha. This is not, of course, in the text itself. This is the midrashic interpolation of the conversation here. Okay. Why is it that you're falling on your face? Lo kach amarti leMoshe Rabcha. Did I not tell Moses, your master, im hu over ovrim? If he goes over, they will in fact go over. V'im lav ein ovrim. But if he doesn't, they won't be able to go over. So the takeaway here is the incredible relationship that people have to their leaders. That in fact, the responsibility of leadership, the fact that when you are a leader, the degree to which you have to care for the people that you lead, the fact that you have to set an example. You can't just command, even though you may have the authority, you don't just go around telling people what to do. You have to do it yourself. So this is the point that's being made here. Okay, so the point about he is the one who's going to pass over. Yes, David.
Yeah, so I take it the gist of this is that he failed to lead by example, right? The point here is, yeah, and that's right. Why he didn't succeed, right? So okay, yeah, just wanted to clarify. Okay, thank you.
Okay, you should understand that if you read this story, so now I am going to share with you a little bit more. They had been told not to take any spoils whatsoever from the cities they conquered. And this person by the name of Achan did. He took a few items. And it turned out that the reason why they failed now is because Achan had done this. So this particular little interpretation that we have here it goes beyond the text itself, where the proximate cause of their failure had to do with Achan's taking personal benefit from the spoils. I believe, forgive my memory loss here, of the spoils of Jericho. But at least I know for a fact that Achan did take the spoils of a city that they had conquered, and they had been told in no uncertain terms that they were not to take anything. They weren't to spoil these cities. And so that's why it's a good story, and I don't need to tell you more at this point. You can do your research and hopefully enjoy the narrative there. Let's see, we'll go on here. We're almost finished with this chapter. Okay. One more verse. Vaneshiv Bagai, and we dwelt, right, in the valley, Mul Beit Peor, opposite Beit Peor, name of a place, Beit Peor. You should know, of course, that Peor is the name, I believe, of a Moabite idol. Let's go on here, find the place here, right. Vaneshiv Bagai, and we dwelt in the valley, etc. And according to the Sifrei, V'nitzmadatem, what we're saying, I think that when he says dwelt in the valley, you understanding that in a metaphoric sense, in a low place, that they were spiritually in a low place. And this is why I'm saying this, V'nitzmadatem la'avodat elilim, and you associated yourselves with idol worship. Remember the whole story of the Cosbi, Batsur, and the Moabites, etc., and the Midianites, and how the Israelite men went and whored and worshipped idols. So it's that reference. V'afal pichen, he says, but nevertheless, v'ata Yisrael, now Israel, Shma el hachukim. So that it's basically connecting to the next sentence here. Here's the very next sentence. So you've got this sentence of saying they were in the valley at the time opposite Beit Peor, in other words, involved in idol worship at the time. And now he's going on to say, but now Israel, listen to the statutes and the laws, etc., etc. So how these two are connected. So he says, listen to these statutes, v'hakol machul lacha. And the point about that is, you will be forgiven for all of it. V'ani lo zachiti limacheli. And this is really beautiful analysis here. It personalizes Moses' message. He said, but as far as I was concerned, I did not merit for myself to be forgiven for the fact that he was angry and for him to go over. So it's putting all this now into the context of the Va'et Hanan, of Moses' supplication and just how much he wanted to do this. Let's go. We have a little bit of time, and so I wanted to go back and take a look at a Torah T'mimah, but I think before I do that, maybe I'll put in a quick marking here. So this is where we'll continue, God willing, tomorrow. Let me go back here, take a look at it. This is the point. This is the Torah T'mimah I wanted to share with you. Ata hachilota, right? This is the word Moses is saying to God, you have started to show me, right, your great power, etc., etc. That's how he starts his prayer. Darash Rabbi Simlai. Rabbi Simlai expounded. Le'olam yisader adam shivcho shel makom. A person should always lay out, right, arrange the praise of God, God's praises. You should start off by expressing the praise to God. V'acharkach yitpalel. And then following that, he should make his requests. He should pray in the sense of requesting. Menalan. Where do we derive this? From where do we derive this? Mi Moshe. We get this from Moses. Dichtiv, as it says, Va'et Hanan el Hashem le'mor, and I supplicated before God, saying, Ata hachilota leharot et avdecha et odgonecha. You have begun to demonstrate to your servant your greatness. Va'et and yadcha haChazakah, your powerful arm. Asher mi el bashamayim va'aretz. Just going on with this verse, right? In that since what God is there in the heavens and the earth, etc., that can compare, right, to God's power. Uchtiv batre, and right after that, it's written, right? And I think, I'm not sure if this is referring to verse 25. It is. This is verse 25. Pasuk kafei. Ebrana na, please allow me to cross over et haaretz, so that I may see the land. So, in other words, before we start asking God for things, we need to be able to acknowledge God's power and God's greatness. And I think there's just a general midah, just a general quality, that before you ask someone, even someone, for something, you at least acknowledge the fact that they have done these things, that they've been, in fact, worthy of your praise. And of course, it can be a lot more subtle. I think the idea is that we want to work against the attitude of, what have you done for me lately? And that's unfortunately a quality that is out there quite a bit. And by trying to focus on what a person has actually done for you up to this time, and acknowledging it and showing appreciation, you're not trying to come across and saying, you owe me this or you owe me that, or what have you done for me lately? So here's the Torah T'mimah. And for this reason, and this is important, and I hope you find it practical, Sidru Anshe Knesset Hagdolah, the men of the Great Assembly arranged Beseder Tfilat Yodchet. They arranged in the order of the Amidah, right? The 18 benedictions, the silent devotion, the part of the service, the series of prayers in our daily worship that makes it a service and not simply prayers. However, they arranged it intentionally. Mitchila Avot Ukvorat Ukdushat Hashem. This is the names of the three initial prayers. That if you look at the opening three prayers of the Amidah, they start off with, it's called the Avot, referring to the patriarchs, right? God of Abraham, God of Isaac, God of Jacob, acknowledging God's relationship to them. Gvurot, God's power, the Ata Gibor Lolam Adonai. It's the part that talks about God's ability to bring the dead back to life and everything included in that, right? Ukdusha, and God's sanctity, the Kadosh, 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 right? Shehem Sheva Hamakom, because they are in praise of God. V'akhar, and following those three blessings, Berachot HaTfilah, the blessings of the Tfilah itself, which represent, of course, requests, asking God for knowledge, asking God for health, asking God for success, etc., etc. The Iyen Rambam, and he goes on to say, and look into the Rambam. The Rambam is Rabbi Moshe ben Maimon, the Maimonides, in other words. Perek Aleph, chapter 1, Halacha Bet, the second paragraph, or the second law, Mitfilah, from his laws of prayer. This is a reference to the Mishneh Torah of Maimonides. Maimonides' incredible encyclopedic work on Halacha, on Jewish law. And I was able to find the reference. So I'm going to do this and see give me one moment just to double check. Yes, okay. All right. Trying to figure out how I can I don't know if I can do this way. Can I don't know. Yep. Do you see it or you don't see it? You don't see a new page, right? Or you do?
No.
You don't. Okay, let me do this and do this. And now you see it. This is from his, Hilchot Tfilah, laws of prayer, Ubirkat Choanim, and the priestly benediction. This is how Maimonides arranges his work. What is amazing about this work is it's written in pure Hebrew. It takes very complicated halachic concepts, legal concepts, and tries to express them in a very straightforward way. And he says, Yesh bichlalam shtei mitzvot aseh, that in the laws of prayer, there are two positive commandments. Okay, and he tells you what they are, and here is where he's going to go into the details and what this reference that we just had from Baruch Halevi Epstein is this particular law here. Okay, so just to tell you, achat, one commandment. He told you two commandments. Well, what are those commandments? Achat la'avod et Hashem b'chol yom b'tfilah. One is to serve God every day through prayer. Shniya, the second commandment, levarech kohanim et Yisrael b'chol yom, that the priests should bless Israel every day, the Jewish people every day, uvi'ur shtei mitzvot ela, and an explanation of these two commandments, the prakim elu, is to be found in this chapter, in these chapters. How he's divided up and organized, how he put this together. This is in a book called Ahava, which means love, and he says Hilchot Tfilah Perek Rishon. So the laws of prayer, chapter 1. So what about this over here? So this is Kesef Mishneh. So here's the thing about Maimonides, the Mishneh Torah, and what makes it difficult. So I've explained how he tries to put things out very clearly and straightforwardly. So what is the challenge of the book? The challenge of the book is that he has this encyclopedic knowledge of rabbinic Judaism, the Talmuds, some of the post-Talmudic literature. He is an absolute genius, right? He's called Hanesher Hagadol, the great eagle. There's also the famous statement that says, from Moses, meaning Moses in the Torah, to Moses, meaning Moses Maimonides, there was no Moses, right? Just the level of brilliance, right? So the question is, where does he get these things? Where in this encyclopedic amount of this ocean of law does he actually get these particular statements? Kesef Mishneh is a commentary on Mishneh Torah, and basically he quotes and finds the passages in the Talmud which Maimonides is using, or sometimes discussing the logic with which Maimonides is using to derive what he is deriving. And it's like an incredible Jeopardy game that is being played out over here. So I don't have time now, but I wanted to give you all a little taste of this. So what I'll do is I'm going to stop the share now, and we'll stop here. I'm going to stop the recording, and tomorrow, God willing, I will give you a little opportunity to hear what he has to say. Before I stop the recording, David, I see your hand is up.
That was from before. Sorry about that.
Okay, no problem. All right, so I'll stop the recording.